Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Lake Havasu City Planning and Zoning Commission. If you'd please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Jim Harris,
Here.
Matthew Mitchell, Gabrielle Medley,
Here.
David Diaz,
Here.
Susanna Ballard,
Here.
Joan DeZuro,
Here.
Dane Hatch, Paul Lair,
Here.
and Tiffany Wilson.
Ms. Wilson, will you please come fill the vacant spot, please, here at the dais? Correspondence and announcements. Mr. Morris.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Just as a reminder, there's still a regular member position to be filled for this commission. Applications are due by 5 p.m. this Friday, the 4th. And then the city clerk will go through the process, I believe, about interviews and that sort of thing. So, and then I think they'll be making appointments sometime in December, is my understanding.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Yes. Also, the City Council approved the sign code amendments that you recommended per your recommendations at their most recent council meeting. And that concludes staff's announcements. Thank you.
Okay, minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Diaz, a second by Ms. Ballard to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and place our votes. Waiting for the voting screen to come up. There we go.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, let me start by stating that this is a public hearing and there's a structured order to the proceeding. The city staff will present each item. There will be time for the commission to ask questions of the staff, and then the applicant will have the opportunity to present their case to the commission. That being done, we will then open the proceeding to the public for their questions and input. I would ask that anyone of the public that wishes to speak limit their trips to the podium and microphone to one only, keep all comments to less than 3 minutes, and to stay on point and not discuss subject matter that is not pertinent to the decision being considered here today. After public testimony is taken, I will then close the public hearing portion of the meeting and bring the motion back to the table for the city staff's recommendation, discussion amongst the commission, and eventually a motion to approve or disapprove. The first item on today's agenda is ID 22-3499. This is a request for a zone change from Golf Course District, GC, to Residential Estates District, RE, for the portions of the following lots that were purchased from the golf course. Tract 2316, Block 11, lots 8A, which is 2718 Paseo Verde. Tract 2316, Block 11, lot 9A, 2720 Paseo Verde. Tract 2316, Block 11, Lot 10A, 2724 Paseo Verde. 2316, Block 11, Lot 11A, which is 2728 Paseo Verde. Tract 2316, Block 6, Lots 55A and 56A at 650 Via del Lago. Tract 2317, Block 3, Lot 8A, 2654 Plaza del Sol. And I believe that is the total of them. Mr. Morris, your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you very much. Here's the area map. Each of the 6 subject properties abut a fairway on the Lake Havasu Golf Club. The property owners recently purchased an approximately 15 to 20 foot strip of golf course property and added it to their existing residential lot. Here you see the zoning maps. The residential properties in the area are zoned RE and are vacant or developed as single-family homes. Lake Havasu Golf Club abuts each of the properties and is zoned, of course, Golf Course GC. Each of the combined properties now have 2 different zoning districts. The original lots are zoned RE, and the portions that were purchased from the golf course are zoned golf course. In 2016, the city adopted a current development code. Prior to that adoption, the golf course itself was zoned RE, just like all the other residential lots. Concern was expressed at that time regarding the impending sale and possible redevelopment of the golf course. As a result, the golf course zoning district was created and applied to the existing golf course at that time to ensure the area would remain golf course. The new owners of the golf course embarked on a plan to upgrade the golf course, which resulted in unused portions being sold to many of the adjacent property owners. The zoning administrator determined that these small pieces will need to be rezoned for the residential owners to develop their newly acquired properties with any sort of structure. This request is to rezone the old golf course portion of each property from golf course to RE residential, so it will match the balance of the residential lots. The rezone will allow each property owner to apply the RE building setbacks and uses to the entire combined property. Without the rezone, the golf course portion of each property is limited to the improvements such as landscaping, grading, swimming pools, and retaining walls. The table below here shows the subject properties. 5 of the 6 properties are less than the current 15,000 square foot minimum for RE zoned lots. However, these lots are considered legal nonconforming, grandfathered in, because they were established prior to the current development standards. The proposed additional lot area will allow them to be more compliant with the current RE standards. And you'll see that the 6 different properties, 4 of them are all abutting each other, and then the 2 are standalone. And you'll see the existing area and the golf course area and the total lot area. So as it's pointed out, there's still, some of them are under the 15,000 for the RE, but they're less non-conforming than they were before. That concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is also here to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, do we have any questions of staff from commissioners? Okay, hearing Ms. Zero, please.
Thank you. Just a question, I'm just trying to get my head around this. So if they're asking for this piece of the property, the golf course owners, to be residential estates, so the people that own the homes can then expand on their current lots, is that what it is? Or if somebody else can come in and buy the lots and build something on that?
It could be either way. The existing property owner could, of course, they own the portion of the golf course, but they have 2 different zonings on their lot. So the original lot and the golf course portion, they own that. They could, if they get the rezone to RE, then they'll have their setbacks would be based on the new RE zoning of the lot.
Right.
And then they could do it like any other property owner. They could sell it, they could develop it, they could build onto it, however. So it's treated the same as any other lot.
Okay.
Basically, what they're attempting to do is to rezone the additional portion of their property to the underlying zoning of their current residence or the major portion of the property, rather than leaving it with 2 different distinct zonings on one piece of property.
Yeah.
Mr. Diaz.
And just to clarify for the record, so they're buying the extra 20 feet. The owners of the home on the land, they're purchasing this 20 feet extra from the golf course.
That's correct.
In fact, I believe this has already taken place. This is after the fact, yes. Any other questions of staff? Is the applicant present? Please state your name for the record.
Lee Johnson with APL Surveying. And just to clarify on that statement, yeah, on these lots here had the land lot owners had already bought the 15-foot or 20-foot over the course of the last 2 years. And this is more of a housekeeping scenario to get all the zoning the same. And then we had our citizens review meeting on October 13th. We had 2 of the neighborhood landowners show up. Meeting went well. The major question that they had was, after the zoning happened, what could be built on that piece of property? Since the overall setbacks for primary structure is still less than what they purchased from the golf course, it would just be an accessory type of structure. And their concern was knowing that the golf course, let me rephrase that, the RE zoning allowed a 30-foot height limit. We notified them on any accessory type structure in that zoning, city code caps the height off at 15 feet. So anything built back there could never go above a 15-foot structure. So no one would have to look at like a 2-story structure being built in the back. It's been capped on all zoning in town once you go to auxiliary structures at a 15-foot height limit. And really, that was the only question during our design review meeting. So if there's any other questions from commissioners?
Any questions of the applicant? Ms. Wilson?
There's nothing restricting somebody, an already existing property there. If they wanted to deconstruct their current garage, build a new one, they're then within the new RE standards and can at that point then go back, into that buildable envelope that expands with that new.
If it's attached to the house.
Right.
They could go back to where the new setback would be.
Right.
For instance, if they bought like 14 feet on the one, their new setback would be 20 from the new line, so they could extend their garage, that additional feet up to where the new 20-foot setback line would be.
Right. And as well as the vacant lots, obviously, the building
Yes.
envelope changes. For them, there are height increases they can go to 30 feet on there.
Inside the
And it
primary,
does then
inside the primary.
expand that lot line back because they've added that addition,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, and we explained all that to the people that showed up at the meetings.
Okay.
Any other questions of the applicant? All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
All right, thanks, Chair.
Okay, this is a public hearing, and this is the time for anybody in the audience to come forward and speak if they wish. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this item, either pro or con? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion and bring it back to the table for staff's recommendations.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends approval of Land Use Action Number 22-3499 for a zone change from Golf Course District, GC, to Residential Estates District, RE, for the portions of the following lots that were purchased from the golf course as shown on the attached parcel plat maps. Tract 2316, Block 11, Lot 8A at 2718 Paseo Verde. Tract 2316, Block 11, Lot 9A, 2720 Paseo Verde. Tract 2316, Block 11, Lot 10A, 2724 Paseo Verde. Tract 2316, Block 11, Lot 11A, 2728 Paseo Verde. Tract 2316, Block 16, Lots 55A and 56A, 650 Via del Lago. And Tract 2317, Block 3, Lot 8A at 2654 Plaza del Sol. And as a reminder, this item will go to the City Council at their December 13th meeting with your recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, we are at the table for discussion and/or a motion. Commissioners? Anybody?
I'd like to make a motion.
Ms. Ballard?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Development Review Committee approval of Land Use Action 223499 for a zone change from Golf Course District to Residential Estates District for the portions of the following lots that were purchased from the golf course as shown on the attached parcel plat maps. Tract 2316, Block 11, Lot 8A, Lot 9A, Lot 10A, Lot 11A, and Tract 2316, Block 6, Lots 55A and 56A, and Tract 2317, Block 3, Lot 8A.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Ms. Ballard, a second by Ms. Zuro, to approve ID 223499 as a request for a zone change from Golf Course District to the Residential Estate District with the properties as referenced. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, let's place our votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Congratulations and good luck. All right, the next motion, the next item on today's agenda is, bear with me a second here, ID number 22-3500. This is a request for a zone change for tract 2271, block 2, lots 8 and 9A, which is at 2659 Jamaica Boulevard South from Golf Course District, GC, to Limited Multifamily District, R3, for a portion of the property purchased from the golf course. Mr. Morris, your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. This is very similar to the previous request. The major difference is that this is RE property. The other one was, this is R3 property. The previous one was RE. So the subject property abuts the fairway, one of the fairways on Lake Havasu Golf Club. The owner is purchasing approximately 20-foot strip of the property from the golf course and would like to tie it to their residential property. The properties in this area are zoned R3 and developed as multiple family uses. The Lake Havasu City Golf Club abuts the property and is zoned golf course. So the property will have two zoning districts. The original lot zoned R3 and the portion purchased from the golf course would be zoned golf course. This request is to rezone the previous golf course portion of the property from GC to R3 so it will match the balance of the residential lots. The rezone will allow the property owner to apply the R3 building setbacks and uses to the entire combined property. Without the rezone, the GC portion is limited to landscaping, grading, swimming pools, and retaining walls. The property is currently under development as a 6-unit, multiple-family residential project. The lot meets the requirements, all the requirements of the R3 development standards. That concludes staff's presentation. Open any questions. The applicant is also here. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions of staff by commissioners? Okay, hearing none. Is the applicant present? Please state your name once again for the record.
Lee Johnson, APL Surveying. And this one's slightly different than the other one. If commission remembers, throughout the last year, we brought this project through to you guys once before for a condominium townhouse subdivision on this project, which was called Eagle View Estates. And it was approved and is in the process of mapping. The piece of property they bought in the back, they purchased 20 feet. Out of that 20 feet, 16 feet of it is a utility easement. So the only purpose of this is for additional landscaping. None of the initial permits that were developed for the initial project, buildings moving or anything like that's not happening. They're going forward with their initial plan. This is strictly for additional landscape for the beautification of the 6-unit condominium townhouse development that they're doing. So if you guys have any other questions.
Any questions of the applicant, vice commissioners? Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you, Mr.
Commissioners.
Johnson. Once again, this is a public hearing, and we will open it up to the public. If there's anybody who wishes to speak on this item, anybody whatsoever, pro or con? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, bring it back to the table for staff's recommendations.
Honorable Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. Based on the findings, Development Review Committee recommends approval of Land Use Action Number 22-3500 for a zone change for Tract 2271, Block 2, Lot 8-9A, 2659 Jamaica Boulevard South, from Golf Course District, GC, to Multiple Family District, R3, for the portion of the property purchased from the golf course as shown on the attached parcel plat map. And again, as a reminder, this will go to the City Council's December 13th meeting with your recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, we are at the table for discussion and/or a motion. Commissioners. Ms. Zero?
I can make a motion. I make a motion that we approve ID 223500, a request for a zone change for tract 2271, block 2, lot 8 and 9A at 2659 Jamaica Boulevard South from Golf Course District to Limited Multiple Family District for the portion of the property purchased from the golf course.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Zuro and a second by Ms. Ballard to approve item number 22-3500. Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the question.
Motion passes 7-0.
Congratulations. Okay, the last item on today's agenda is ID 22-3509. This is a request for a subdivision plat for Paradigm Havasu Storage Condominiums at 80 Retail Center Boulevard, Parcel C of Retail Center-2, creating a 208-unit storage condominium subdivision in the General Commercial C2 District. Mr. Morris, I believe, are you presenting, or is it Mr. Kearns? Mr. Kearns, your presentation.
Thank you. The subject property is located on Retail Center Boulevard in between Highway 95 and London Bridge Road. The properties to the east and northeast are zoned general commercial district and developed for commercial uses. The property to the northwest is zoned residential manufactured home district and is currently vacant. The property to the south and west is outside city limits and are in an unincorporated part of Mojave County. The site is currently being developed for a 208-unit storage complex that is under construction. The proposed condominium plat will convert the units into condominiums and allow them to be individually owned and included as part of an association along with the common portions of the development. The project includes 208 storage units, common shared area for ingress, egress, maintenance, and operation of utilities, sewage, drainage, refuse collection, and emergency vehicles. In November 2021, the City Council amended the development code to no longer allow storage units in the C2 zoning district. However, this project was submitted prior to the adoption of that code change, so the storage unit use is allowed. The project will have a property owners association to manage and maintain the association improvements. Common area will be privately owned, and the water and wastewater within the subdivision is installed and maintained by the association. This concludes staff presentation. We're available for any questions, and the applicant is also present.
Any questions of staff? Any commissioners? Ms. Zero?
I just have one. I don't see any parking. I see all buildings for people to move in, but I don't see any parking on the, do you know where they're?
There's a couple spots up here. One's a handicap, one's a regular parking space.
Okay.
At this top by building C.
Is that the only ones they have?
Yes, for a storage unit, that is 2 spaces is all that's required.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Wilson?
As the newcomer here, this was already allowed, like it's zoned and it was able. Why does the plat then come to us for approval if it meets city requirements?
Well, per our subdivision code, preliminary plats come to the Planning Commission for approval. And once they're approved by the Planning Commission, the final plat can then be submitted to staff and for review. Once that review is completed, then the final plat goes to the City Council for its approval. So this is just the platting process because this is a subdivision. If this was just a project they were just building without going to sell the individual lots, they wouldn't have to go through the subdivision process.
Okay.
In this case, you're going to sell the individual units, so they have to go through this process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of staff? Okay. Hearing none, is the applicant present? Please state your name for the record, Mr. Johnson.
Lee Johnson, APL Surveying. Staff did a good explanation of this. It's already on construction. Phase 1 is currently going vertical on both their buildings. I believe Phase 2 is into the city for permitting. So they are marching forward with their design. Like Luke just explained, in this procedure here is just really to be capable of changing the ownership of the individual units. Other than that, if commissioners have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions of the applicant by commissioners? Okay, thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Johnson.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, once again, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on this item? Anybody whatsoever? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion, bring it back to the table for staff's recommendations.
Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends approval of Land Use Action 223509, a preliminary subdivision plat for Paradigm Havasu Storage Condominiums at 80 Retail Center Boulevard, Track 0, Block 4, Parcel C, creating a 208-unit storage condominium subdivision in the general commercial C2 district.
All right, we are at the table for discussion and/or a motion by commissioners. Ms. Ballard?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ID 22-3509, request for a preliminary subdivision plat for Paradigm Havasu Storage Condominiums at 80 Retail Center Boulevard, Parcel C of Retail Center 2, creating a 208-unit storage condominium subdivision in the general commercial C2 district.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Lear?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve land use action item number 22-3509. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the question. Place our votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, at this point in the meeting, this is the call to the public. If there's anybody that wishes to address the Planning Commission on any subject whatsoever, now is the time to do it. Is there anybody that wishes to speak to the commission? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the call to the public portion of the meeting. Future meetings, Mr. Morse.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. The meeting scheduled for November 16th is canceled due to the room not being available. The next regular scheduled meeting is December 7th, and we do have items for that agenda. So December
Pearl Harbor
7th.
Day.
Pearl Harbor Day. Thank you.
Okay, at this point then, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.